to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. I do these videos to help educate consumers and owners that are currently living or going to buy into an HOA or condo association. Today, I'd like to talk about fair housing. What is fair housing? Well, I went to the Justice site to get some information on who qualifies for fair housing and what is discrimination. The 42 USC 3601 prohibits discrimination for race, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or a disability. So if you're in your association and somebody is harassing you or picking you out, not treating you the same as the other neighbors, that is discrimination. Now, if you're a protected class, that adds to that complaint. So the first thing you're going to do if you are being harassed by a board member or a property manager or an attorney is you're going to go to the justice.gov and you're going to file a complaint. Now, these complaints are pretty easy. Most of them, you just go on, you click a button, and there is a place for you to file your complaint, and you just fill it out and send it in. Now, in Washington State, there's a whole thing on fair housing. There's a thing that if there's a pattern of discrimination, they can be prosecuted. So what do? So you go on to the Fair Housing of Washington, which is fhcwashington.org, and you'll see examples of different kinds of discrimination and harassment. One big one that comes up for me is children. So when I lived in my condo association, children could not swim in the pool if they were under the age of 3. Well, that is a discrimination. You cannot discriminate against children. You cannot tell children they can't play on the grass or in the common areas just because they are kids. That is discrimination. Now, one thing that I have learned in the last couple weeks is this one mom has a special needs child who needs to be working on their playing skills with other kids. So the mom is not supposed to be around the child. Her child has been diagnosed. They have a disability. And so she went into our home for just a couple of minutes, keeping her eye on her child outside. And a board member approached the children playing on the sidewalk. And so the mom went back out to ask what was going on, and the board member had already left. So she asked her child what was going on, and the child said that he had fallen into the grass and he was sorry, he didn't mean to do it. That's kind of sad that our kids can't play in the grass. We as owners, I know the board thinks that they own the association, but they don't. We own our associations. So you need to make sure you're aware of what is discrimination. Now, what makes this even more is the child has been diagnosed with a disability. And for this board member to talk to children without their parents is really wrong too. You shouldn't be talking to them because who knows if she's taking pictures of those kids, which is totally illegal. You need to be aware of what's going on in your community, and you need to know where you need to file a complaint. So the Washington ones is if you make a complaint, the board cannot harass you. The property managers cannot harass you after you've made that complaint. Now, this person was a renter also. So the board member didn't even have the right to talk to the renter. Board members can talk to the association members only. Then the board member decided to send this mom a $250 fine. Well, that is really wrong because, first of all, where's the chain of you get a warning, then you get your first fine, the second fine, the third fine? There has to be something set out in your documents that tell what the fining system is. Well, since this is a renter, she has no obligation to the HOA for paying fines. That is up to the landlord. So I suggested to her that she goes to her landlord, writes up the complaint, and then goes from there. But she also needs to make a complaint with the fair housing communities in Washington State. They will take care of the complaints. Then if that board member or the property management company decide to retaliate, that's another violation of the law. So make sure that you know what your state has to protect you under fair housing. I know every state is different, and you need to know exactly what you have to do to make those complaints. I know HUD is a national complaint place where you're supposed to put it. I've not gotten too many things from HUD, too many results from them. They, when I was being harassed in that, even in Washington State, when I was being harassed by the board and the property management companies, the fair housing people wouldn't talk to me because I was not a protected class, which to me means I should be a protected class. If I can be harassed without any governance or accountability for it, then there should be some sort of laws to protect us. Now, it does say that if you do make a complaint about your HOA does not have the right to retaliate. So make sure that if they do retaliate, you keep records of everything. Start making a journal, writing everything down, keeping track of what those situations are that you're running into that board member. And if they see that this is something that's a pattern of discrimination, they can be prosecuted. And it can be the littlest thing. The board member could make a comment about an immigrant's accent or their customs, or they make a religious joke, or a manager keeps asking residents for dates and they've already told them no. So there's just so many things that you can that fall under this. So you need to be aware of your rights. And I know I say this over and over, but it's really, really important. I will put some of these tenant and owner's rights on my video here so that you can see what to look for and where to go if you're in Washington State. Make sure that when you're reading your leases, if you are a renter going into an HOA, that you read the small print, because some landlords try to slip in the fact that if you're fined by the association that you have to pay those fees. I really have a hard time with that one because you don't have the right to defend yourself. You don't have the right as a tenant to go into a due process hearing with the board because you're not judged that way. Now, homeowners, we are judged that way. The board is jury, judge, and executioner. So you need to make sure that if you know that the board is discriminating for anything, that you bring that up to them in writing. Always put everything in writing. I always mail everything certified with return receipt, or just sometimes they use post office boxes. So always make sure you send it to the property management company, to the association's address, which if I have a board member's address, sometimes I mail it to them certified, and to the attorney of the association. And I want to go into attorneys in my next video because I think that we're finding that a lot of attorneys are violating these laws, which is very unethical. And they have the rules of professional conduct, which we'll go through in the next video about what to do if an attorney is violating those rules of professional conduct by feeding into these discrimination and harassment things that the boards are doing. A lot of people that have been in HOA forever think that it's okay to do these things, but the laws have changed. The laws have changed just in the last 2 years since 2019 in the HOA of Washington State, HOAs and condo associations. So you need to know those new laws because they will help you. The fair housing used to not include homeowners associations in the fair housing laws, but now they are. Since 2019, they are included. So if your association is doing something to violate your rights, turn them in. Go to the sites, the justice.org, and for Washington State, the fair housing, it all applies to you and you can make a complaint on those sites. And it's real easy. Just push the button and file the complaint. All right, I'll see you on the next one.